one of the reasons why I didn't include myself in that because I didn't have what I think is a prerequisite that's needed to make this engine really go. Not that I
Yeah.
don't have the tangible qualities of leadership. That's never have not been evident. It's the fact of like I brought you up for example. Those that are married. I would suggest someone if you're trying to be married, go to someone who actually is married but also successfully married,
Hmm.
and not just successfully married as y'all existing, but successfully married as there's power in your marriage. There's
Hmm.
love there. There's creation. There's fortification. And there's also expansion that you guys can touch other people to basically sort of like how a virus or I hate to use this example, but this is probably the best example, or cancer,
Hmm.
where it replicates itself. So in order to get the best replication, you need a tangible cell, which I would
Hmm.
use someone that has been married, they have been successfully married with their wife, and is flourishing. Does that make sense?
Yo, 100%, 100%. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I like the analogy you used because as you were saying that to kind of to cap your point there, one thing came to me, and M3 touched on it too. And Stanley touched on it too. We've all kind of touched on it in the points that we brought forth. And it's just like,
If that's a sneeze, bless you, whoever sneezed.
yes, yeah, bless you. Um, it's like, man, we are. It's like there's a mindset out there because I don't want to say a group of men or a group of women, but I'll say there's a mindset out there, right? Where where it's like, okay, the harvest is ripe, but it's ripe for manipulation. Like I can get what I want just because I see it out here to get. Does you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna worry about being held accountable. I'm not gonna worry about being transparent. I'm not gonna really worry about can anybody grow from what I'm speaking, whether I'm telling a joke, whether it's crass, whether I come across harsh, whether I'm kind. I'm just gonna do what I want to do because what I want to do is gonna get me to what I want, right? So, and this is where like I can say I agree with Stan when he says when he kind of chimes in what Anton says about the boxitis. We're overfilled on too much of what we want, and we kind of get to this point where it's just like when we're on these platforms now, and I say the platform because I'll just say YouTube. There is a lot of people that are actually saying that they may not inbox any of us and say, hey, like I needed that. I needed your comment. I needed that live stream. I needed that panel. That help that you guys. It doesn't even matter what the temperature of the conversation or the topic was, but I needed that to be able to kind of release from where I was, and to be able to open up to think, just to think, because I haven't been thinking as I move through my day to day movements, right? And the reason why I brought up the church as well in terms of a structured place outside of the people is because I'm also looking at it, and like again when I revert back to that young man, you know what I mean? He said, "Oh, you're a real one," because too many people are they're yeah, come to church with me, come to a worship service with me, come to a Bible study, come to a prayer with me. But nobody stands, stop your noise. but nobody sits there and says, yo, um, God's telling me to pray for you right now. And you know how many times I've approached people in public and I'm like, yo, I don't know whether it's a woman, a man, a brother, and I'm just like, yo, there's something there's something going on in your life right now. And I don't need to know what it is. You don't got to tell me your secrets. But
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? The God that I believe, the God that I serve is telling me you need a brother right now. You need somebody to let you know that like, this is gonna change. It's gonna be all right. Something's gonna come through or encourage you that you're making the right moves. And if you think it's coincidence, however you want to put it, I'm gonna let you know that God sent me to talk to you and, or pray for you. And this is what it is. And likewise, this is why, as I said earlier before truth came in, it's like when I sit down with my team and I remember when I first said I was going to start a podcast platform, and I was telling people, they're like, yo, what are you going to talk about? And what's your demographic? I'm like, oh, we're a men's self-improvement podcast with a godly perspective, but we can relate to both sides of life. We're not here to judge nobody, but my age range to get to men is between 18 to 40, 13 to 40. And they were like, yo, people literally told me you're stupid. But I'm like, when I was 13, I had more people sit there and try to manipulate me. Oh, you tall. You got a deep voice. You can do this. Come help me do that. Oh, you can play basketball. Come play for my team. And what I learned I wouldn't say very quickly, but over 20 years of living from the age of 20, what I kept seeing both inside this building we call the church and outside is people will manipulate you with a little nice cupcake compliment here and a nice compliment cupcake there. And they'll be like, oh, come and do this with me. But you're really not doing it with them. You're really doing it for them. And now the problem is when a situation comes up that requires transparency and truth and realness, that person doesn't have it because they didn't have it in the beginning. Because they've been built up over amount of time of operating without accountability. And that accountability is saying, okay, here's my terms of engagement, and I'm going to operate within them. Even if I see an opportunity to kind of get ahead and I can kind of shave this corner, we're not talking about, okay, I'm working, and if I take this online course, I know, X amount of money, this guy is trying to get it, but I'm going to take this online course and I'm going to get that job. I'm gonna get the position in the company. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking literally, you are seeing that somebody is weak or susceptible in a certain area, and we're just gonna play on that because we have the opportunity to galvanize that, to galvanize and keep them in a bubble while I'm taking and extracting their resources from them while building my own resources. And that's the thing that bothers me. And that was one of the things I actually had to sit down in the last quarter of 2024 and really think about. It's like, why am I going on anybody's platform? Why am I linking up with Stan? Why am I linking up with M3? Why are me and Truth connected? Why are me and Sophisticated Church? Am I just using these guys to be able to prop me up so I can do what I want to do? Or do I have a genuine message that can enhance what these guys are already doing? And I can, as a brother, come and say, okay, I'm really here. Like, I'm really here. And anybody who doesn't know these guys, like, my wife asks all the time because she knows I don't connect with certain people. If I don't connect with you, I don't connect with you. And that's just going to be what it is. But she'd be like, okay, like, yo, who's Truth? Talk about Truth often. You talk about his journey often. Who's Stanley? Who's M3? Because she sees me connect with you guys in a way, and you brothers, I should say. I don't want to say you guys, you brothers. She sees me connect with you brothers in a way, and she knows my level of operation. She knows how I engage with people. And it's very transparent. Even if I'm wrong, it'll still be transparent, and I can admit that I'm wrong. But like, I'm thinking, and I'm saying this because if there's any other content creators that are listening while this live is going on, or you listen back to this, like, and this is kind of like a testimony, but this is another reason why I'm glad for this topic tonight. Again, did the research Friday, saw that for some reason this podcast is rated 10 the top out of the top 15 male improvement podcasts for Canada. We're rated number 10. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, yo,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, bomb. I love that. When I checked the terms of how they rated this podcast or any podcast that they put in that top 15, they said authenticity, realness, freshness, transparency. They said authority. I actually had to go and click on the website. I was just like, yo, I still don't get that authority. And they were like, you command the presence, whether you got 100 people watching you or you got 0 people watching you, you're still the same. So it's just like they understand that men don't want to hear cookie cutter messages and cookie cutter advice. Men want men that are going to be like, yo, I'm either not perfect, but these are some steps that help to make me better today than I was yesterday. And I'm going to connect with other guys who do the same thing and have been doing the same thing.